Welcome to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. There are no traffic jams along the Extra Mile when you're studying for your bar exam. And now, your host, Jackson Mummy, owner of the Celebration Bar Review.
Episode 179 of the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. This is your host, Jackson Mummy, and welcome to 2018. I can hardly believe we're really in a new year. And yeah, you can tell from my voice. It's not that I partied too hard. I've got a for real 2018 cold. So I apologize for that. I will try to sound as non-congested as I can here today. But I'm glad to have you with us, and hope you had a good holiday season, a good New Year's. And now we're into the bar study season for sure. We've got the February 2018 exam at about 55 to 60 days away as you're listening to this. And of course, the July 2018 exam on the horizon. And we hope that you are gearing up for one of those two exams. Although I'm even hearing from people taking their exams in 2019. So it's really not too early if you're even thinking about February of 2019. If this is your first time on the podcast with us, I want to welcome you, and just so glad that you're here, and thanks for spending some time with us. We've been doing these podcasts for a few years now, and we've grown pretty dramatically in our size of our audience. And I know that a question I get often is, where can I go back and watch or listen to these previous episodes? And that's an easy answer. Go to celebrationbarreview.com. You'll see a link at the top of the page for podcasts. And on that page, we have the entire archive back to the very first episodes along with show notes, so you can check that out. Now, if you are interested in viewing today's webinar, today's podcast, oh my goodness, then you can do that by going to celebrationbarreview.com/179. Again, that's 179. And for the last probably 6 months or so, we've videoed all of our podcast episodes. So in addition to Apple iTunes and Spotify and iHeartRadio, you can also watch the video version. So whatever method is best for you, we're just glad that you're with us and that you're able to get this information. What we're going to be doing for the next few weeks is a new series that we're calling Bar Study Tools. I'm going to look at 4 specific tools that we find are making a huge difference in the overall improvement and performance of our bar exam students. We're going to look at photo reading, mind mapping, paraliminals, and meditation, one of those topics each week for the next 4 weeks. And today, we're going to start with photo reading because we think it's central to the success that we're seeing for our students. So in today's session, what I'm going to be doing is giving you a brief excerpt from a photo reading bootcamp that I did live here in Celebration in December of 2017. It was incredibly well received. We had a great time doing it. And I had a co-teacher with me. Her name is Millicent St. Now, we introduced Millicent to you in episode 169 of our podcast series. If you haven't checked that out, we'll put a link in the show notes so that you can take that journey with us back and talk to Millicent. Millicent is a national trainer for Learning Strategies Incorporated. They're the people that created photo reading. She's a great teacher. I mean, an unbelievable teacher. And she really understands photo reading. And Millicent was my co-teacher at our live bootcamp event. We had a great time. And early on in the event, we overviewed the concept of photo reading for our students. Now, I thought that a bit of that overview would be useful today as part of the podcast to just talk about this tool of photo reading. What you're going to be learning in this excerpt will be what photo reading is. You've heard us talk about it probably before. We've done a couple of episodes on photo reading previously, episode 66 and episode 107. Both were on photo reading topics, and I'll link to those episodes as well in the show notes. But a lot of people are still kind of scratching their heads and saying, what is photo reading? Well, we'll explain that to you in the excerpt. We'll also tell you why we think it's important to use photo reading for the bar exam. Now, just a brief note, when I first started teaching photo reading was about 8-9 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer than that now. And I did it really with the students that I thought were the most in danger. They were the most at risk of passing the exam. And we had success, and I was encouraged by that, but I wasn't yet ready to sort of announce it to the world. And then we kept having more success, and the people who were doing well with photo reading would refer friends to me, and they'd say, well, what about photo reading? And I realized at some point, we've really got something here, and we need to make this more widely available. So about 5 years ago, we started talking about photo reading pretty actively, and it caught on. Today, we probably are at about 60 to maybe 70% of our students in the Celebration Bar Review course who use photo reading, even though it's an add-on. It's not something you have to have. Why do they do it? Well, because the results are so good. And we've done interviews over the last year where we've really talked with students who specifically attribute huge jumps in their scores, 30, 40, 60, 70 points, just to photo reading alone. And so we know that it's a successful program. We've known that for years. Now we're seeing wider application. And so we're pretty excited about that. And I think this is the tool that we should be talking about first. In any event, we're going to talk about why you want to use photo reading for the bar during this excerpt. We're also going to spend some time talking about how photo reading overcomes what I call your perceived limitations. I think we all carry around that bag of rocks, if you will, the limits that we think we've got about what we can and can't do and why we might or might not be successful on the exam. Photo reading is a powerful tool to smash through those perceived limitations, and you'll hear Millicent talk about that. I'll even chime in once or twice with some thoughts about why I think it's important for the bar exam. We'll also talk in this excerpt about the importance of the non-conscious mind. Now, what you'll hear us talking about are really the two parts of the brain. There's the information processor, the 10% of our brain that we hear about all the time. It's the prefrontal cortex, it's the executive function, it's the left brain, it's the part that you're most aware of, it's your conscious mind. But 90% of our brain power is residing in what we call the non-conscious mind. Now, that's not subconscious or unconscious. It's non-conscious. That's a better way, I think, to describe it. And the non-conscious brain includes the right brain. It includes all of the amygdala and all of the automatic response systems like breathing and blinking and swallowing. All of those things that we don't have to think about. They just happen. But this part of our brain is also the most powerful. It's also got the most capacity, and it's generally untapped. I mean, we rarely get into the non-conscious brain. Well, what photo reading will allow you to do is to work from the non-conscious brain, and it's pretty amazing what it can accomplish. Now, we're just going to give you a brief overview in today's podcast. During the boot camp, we did specialized sessions on photo reading for essay writing, photo reading for performance tests, and photo reading for the multi-state bar exam or multiple choice questions generally. We're actually in the process right now of creating special webinars to offer that information in little chunks and more directed for people who are interested, and those will be coming along in the next couple of weeks. Now, the first of those chunks that we did was one on mind maps, and we created a special mind mapping webinar. And I just want to let everybody know that you can still register for the mind mapping webinar. It's an on-demand webinar now. It's available for $95. We cut the webinar down to its essence. It's 75 minutes long, and it's packed. I mean, there's lots of information there about how to use mind maps, what they come in, how to see examples, how do you read them, how do you store them, how do you organize them, how do you create them. It's everything you need to know about mind mapping, and that'll be the subject of next week's podcast episode as well. But if you're interested in the mind map webinar, you can watch it at any time at your convenience with unlimited replays. And so we'll put a link in the show notes to that option, and I encourage you to check that out. And as I say, we'll have some others coming along in the same way on a fee per webinar basis for how to use photo reading in essay writing, performance tests, and MBE. So watch for those. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Before we jump into the actual discussion from the boot camp, I just want to remind everybody that if you have not yet joined Celebration Bar Review, if you're thinking about it, if you're thinking about the bar exam in 2018 or even now, I guess 2019, we have a special free webinar that we'd like to invite you to. It's called How to Make the Next Bar Exam Your Last Bar Exam. It's the powerful, proven way to pass. And in this webinar, we're going to take you through the 4-step process that we teach our own students for how to pass the bar. We'll share case studies of successful students from all around the country and all walks of life. It's a webinar that has really proven incredibly helpful to literally thousands of people, and it's entirely free. But you do need to register. Now, this webinar will be held on Thursday, January 4th. So if you're listening to today's episode, in a timely way, you've still got a chance to jump in there. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern, so it's Thursday, January 4th, 7 p.m. Eastern. That would be 4 o'clock Pacific time. And then there will be another live showing of the webinar on Monday, January 8th at 7 p.m., again 4 p.m. Pacific time. To claim your seat in either the Thursday or Monday session, all you have to do is go to celebrationbarreview.com. You'll find a button there. Just click on that and you can save your seat. Or if you're watching here on the video, scroll down to the bottom of the page and you'll see a link there and you can sign up as well. And then we'll see you on Thursday or Monday to find out how to make the next bar exam, your last bar exam. Well, I'm excited to share today's message with you. We had so much fun at boot camp, and it was a great experience, and I think we captured some of that sense of spirit and adventure in these videos, and just wanted to share this excerpt as we look at the first of our 4 tools of photo reading and why it's so important. Now, some of you may be thinking to yourselves, well, I'm not a photo reader, maybe I'm not interested in this episode. Well, I would encourage you to spend 20 minutes and listen. I think it'll be well worth your time, and it may arouse your curiosity enough that you're willing to find out more about it, and I would invite you to do that. Another question that we get sometimes is, can I use photo reading if I'm not in the Celebration Bar Review course? Well, you could buy the product from Learning Strategies, but quite frankly, they don't prepare that product for the bar exam specifically. We do the modification. So it works better with our course. Our course is built on the same principles. It's a more compatible, natural fit. And so generally, we don't recommend people sitting in what I call the big box bar review to add photo reading. I think it's frustrating to them because they quickly realize that what they're doing in photo reading is running counter to what they're doing in the memorize and recite world of the big box. Nonetheless, I think it's worthwhile for you to listen to this and compare it and think about it as an approach. The final question I tend to get from people is it too late to start photo reading? I mean, we're less than 60 days to the bar exam. And the answer is no, it's not too late at all. We had students who picked up photo reading within 30 to 40 days before the bar exam and saw incredible increases in their scores. So it absolutely can happen. If you're in our course and you're thinking about adding photo reading, or maybe you haven't selected a course yet, you've certainly got enough time to do that and put photo reading in. It'll cut down your study time immensely, so it's a big, big time saver. I think you'll discover that pretty quickly. And certainly if you're thinking about the July 2018 exam, well, this is a great time to get started with the course and with photo reading. Really maximize out your studies right from the beginning. So having said all that, I want to just jump in and let you hear what happened at boot camp when we started to talk about photo reading.
Photo reading has been around since 1985, developed by my friend and teacher, Dr. Paul Sheely. Photo reading is not an invention, it's an innovation. In other words, he took several different technologies and combined them together to create this program. So the basis of the program is accelerated learning methods, so this is a colorful accelerative learning class, and something called NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. That's all about languaging and how the brain processes information. And something called pre-conscious processing. That's understanding how the brain receives and processes information at a non-conscious level. So that's really, it's taught in 30 countries, 18 different languages. So I am the master trainer and certifying instructor for Learning Strategies. So I teach other photo reading instructors how to become photo reading instructors. So I'm the master trainer there. And I travel around internationally teaching these courses. Now, we have some ground rules here. Number 1 is have fun. You all like fun? Yes. It's going to be a learning party, all right? It's going to be a learning party. Yes, yes, yes. But there will be the whip as well, okay? Going to whip you into shape. The number 1 is do the thing. Number 2, do the thing. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, he who does not the thing has not the power, but he who does the thing has the power. So to just photo read, to do the thing, and to practice the protocols that Jackson's been talking about, to listen to the paraliminals, all that is doing the thing. And if you do the thing, you're going to have the power and you're going to get the results. So can you all agree to do the thing with me? Yes. And have fun at the same time? Yes. Awesome, because really learning is most effective when it's fun. I want you to keep an open mind and believe in possibility. The ideal that we could photo read a book, turning the pages like this, and then comprehend this information, not all consciously in the beginning, but yes, this is more than possible. I've heard it said that a closed mouth can't be fed, and a closed book can't be, and a closed mind is as good as, thank you. Okay, so just keep an open mind. And then there's claim your power. There's 4 powers of greatness. They are reading, writing, speaking, and the last one would be what? Listening, yes. Have you ever noticed that, who here has ever read a book and you're reading the author's writing and you could hear them speaking into your listening? You could hear them? So reading is really just a conversation with the author. That's all it is. Even though it's dense material, it's still a conversation. It's a transmission that's taking place about a case law, or the facts, or whatever it is. It's just a conversation. So if we relax into it and receive it as a conversation, it'll help us to change our attitude about reading. So instead of saying, oh no, I gotta do that reading, let me hear you say, oh no. We're going to change that to, oh boy. Let me hear you say, oh boy. Oh boy, what can I learn from this author? Yeah.
How often do you get the author in the room?
In the room, exactly. Yes. What can I learn from this author? You know. So this is a beautiful thing. So you've got the author right here in the room with you. But even when you've got the books and the online materials, we're going to talk about how to do all of that and to make it easy for you and make it engaging. So reading's not a chore. We're going to transform our perception of information processing. Let me hear you say that. Information processing. So this is about reading faster and better, but it's really about processing information at a much deeper level, much more efficient than we do now. Often, who here has ever read a book and it looks like this? Anybody had that experience? Yeah. Michael's like, yeah, totally. So a lot of times we are not focused, we're not purposeful, and sometimes we're dehydrated. When the brain is dehydrated, we're not getting enough water and enough oxygen to the brain, then we tend to just kind of check out. And sometimes it looks like reading equals sleep. How about this? You're reading a book, you get down to the end of the paragraph and you say, what did I just read? You have to start over again? Yeah, it's like, why I have to reread the paragraph? The number one reason people forget, y'all want to know the number one reason? It's basically because we're not paying attention in the first place. Not really paying attention. We're not present with it. We're not active. We're in a passive state because reading basically seems like a passive activity. We want to be active. Let me hear you say active. We want to be purposeful. Come on, purposeful. And questioning. You've got to learn how to question the material and the author and how is it relevant to you and how can you utilize this information to get the job done. So APQ is active, purposeful, and questioning because we're going to transform that. We're an ever-evolving species. All of our technology, everything has evolved, but why are we still using the same skills we learned in elementary school to read in our adult life? So this is the College of Reading. We're going to advance and we're going to transform that slow slogging, methodical, we're going to be able to zoom through material in a very efficient manner using the photo reading whole mind system. So we're going to transform all this. Who here often experiences distractions? Got just a lot of distractions going on, right? We've all got what's called in Eastern traditions, they call it the monkey mind, jumping from one thought to the next. So we're going to calm that down so that we're focused and eliminate all that noise by setting a very clear purpose and getting into the right state for learning. Effective learning is a state-dependent activity. If we're not in the right state, if you're hungry, if you're distracted, you just had an argument with your significant other, then you're not going to be able to get your reading done in a way that really is going to advance your cause and get the goal accomplished. So we're going to eliminate all of those distractions. You all ready to do that? Yeah. Cool. Let's talk about your objectives. And let's look at let's take a book, maybe a book like, let's take one of the bar books. Yep. How about, let me just borrow one of yours. Okay, here we go. So be gentle. So if you had to use your regular reading skills to get through a book like this, how long do you think it would take you? 200 and 300 pages. So how long would it take you to get through this? weeks, months, never. Okay, got that. Totally get that. So if you could get through this in half the time and improve your memory and comprehension, would that be okay with you all? Yes. How about 1/10 of the time? Would you love that? That's what this is about. This is really understanding. This is about information process, not reading word for word, line by line, from front to back, top to bottom, in the linear fashion. This is about processing, taking it in. Who here saw the movie The Matrix? There was a scene in The Matrix where they had extracted Neo from The Matrix and they put him on this machine. He was laying on this thing and they said, download the program. And he's like, Then he said, whoo, I know Kung Fu. You all remember that? Yeah. And then Morpheus made the same famous line. He said what? He said, show me. That's Michael. He said, show me. So when we get to activation, that's the show me. That's where you're going to demonstrate and bring forth what you photo read to accomplish your purpose. So this is
the goal here is for you to photo read every one of your bar outlines 30, 40, 50, 60 times between now and the exam. That would be impossible. Right. Impossible doing what you did in those first 3 minutes for most of you. Yeah. So now imagine if you could have those materials so that you could do them like that. 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Would that change your world? Yes. Would it change your confidence? Yes. Would it change your results? Yes. Yeah. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Okay.
So the brain is amazing, okay? The neuroplasticity inside the brain is always making connections to information. And every time you photo read the material, you're going to create stronger and stronger connections inside of your neurophysiology, and it's going to get connected to the information. And when you need it, it's going to be able to come and reveal itself to you very, very quickly, as you will see inside of your experience. So course purpose is to, let's say this together, is to get what? Get my reading done in the time I have available at the comprehension level I need. And it's different for everybody. So today you're going to learn persistence, you're going to learn the steps of the system, you're going to zoom through the material very, very quickly. So
one of the things that bar takers often say is, I need to know everything. I need to memorize everything. I need to understand everything. That's mythology. You don't need that. What you need is to be able to use the material to write essays, to do performance tests, and to answer multiple choice questions. Would you all agree with that? Right. There's a big difference between memorizing or knowing everything and being proficient on the exam. So keep in mind that our objective here is something different than it might have been when you were in law school or what it might be in other settings. And it's critically important that you keep that objective in mind so that you don't frustrate yourself, okay? You're going to photo read and you're going to go, I don't know anything. Well, that's not true, you do. But beyond that, not only do you know it, but you know it for our purpose, right? Not for the purpose of being able to recite it verbatim, word for word. Okay.
That's it, that's all. This is about training, mind training, that's it. Anything that's worth it just requires practice. So there's a problem. The problem is you have a treasure chest, but there's these locks. And the locks basically are self-limiting beliefs and attitudes. Well, I can't do that. Quit dreaming. Well, get real. Well, nobody's going to take you serious. Well, you remember what happened the last time. You failed the bar the last time. Who here has taken the bar before? Just say, mm-hmm. Okay, got that. So we're gonna move past that, and we're going to release and let go of the previous experience that we had. So one of the things that I teach is emotional management techniques as well, something called heart math. And basically it's about how to release those stresses and anxieties so that we can step forward as a bold learner and do what it is that we're called to do. Pass the test in this instance. You're smart. You're really super smart. So just because you fumbled the ball last time doesn't mean that that's for all time. It's just what happened. There's no big deal. You're going to do it again, and this time you're going to pass it with flying colors. So can you let those feelings go? Yes. Can you let it go? Yes. Will you let it go? Yes. And when? Now. Right now. That's right now. And in every moment is a choice and an opportunity to let go of those negative feelings, those stressed out feelings, okay? All know Helen Keller, the story of Helen Keller. Okay? But she had an amazing teacher named Anne Sullivan. And Anne was able to help her have a breakthrough, a sensory breakthrough, and teach her how to read and write or process information using Braille, because she wasn't sighted, but she could still process, and became an amazing educator in her own right. She did a tribute to her teacher, Anne Sullivan. She said, Anne was never conscious of my limitations. We're not conscious of yours.
Here's the limitations that I hear from you all. English is not my first language. Okay? So I can't possibly do this. I was a slow reader in school. I didn't graduate at the top of my law school class.
Yeah.
I've taken and failed the bar. You don't have to raise your hand on that. I'm too old.
Yeah.
I'm too young. Not this group, okay. You get the point. We tell ourselves all of these stories, all these myths about what is true. There is no truth except the truth that you choose to accept. Okay? I have shared with you stories and interviews of people who've passed the bar that are amazing, aren't they?
Yes.
You look at those and you just go, huh?
Right.
How did that person do that? How did Randy Delling go up 70 points in California? How did Joe Hastings go up 31 points in Georgia? How did Andrew Masters go up 32 points? And the list just goes on and on and on. How did they do it? By doing what we're talking about right here. So, this is a no limitations free zone. Always. But for the next 2 days, I don't want to hear, oh, well, you don't understand, Jackson. I'm not from the U.S. You know, I'm looking at all of you who do that. Right? Or, you don't understand, Jackson. I have attention deficit disorder, or dyslexia, or, you know, an unsupportive family, or whatever. Okay? I mean, I get that. And I'm not trying to minimize it or make light of it, but I'm just telling you that you don't want that as a crutch. Okay? You now have the opportunity. What you're about to do bursts open the doors on all that stuff if you believe it. Okay? But if you don't believe it, you just wasted a lot of money to come here. Okay? Because if you believe that this will work if I spoke English better, I am here to tell you that's ridiculous. This does not matter. Your brain is so much better than your ability to translate into English. Okay? We got it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to see a lot of nodding heads.
Yes.
This would be the correct response. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So this is not the conversation of limitations. It's a conversation of possibilities. And what's possible for you is unlimited with this whole photo reading whole mind system. To teach you a little bit about how this really all works. Your eyes are really super powerful. They're cameras. Your eyes take in about 10 million bits of information per second. Let me hear you say per second. So for example, you're looking at me. Say it, Sam. I'm looking at you. Even though you're looking at me, Alex, you can see everything, can't you? Yeah. You're looking at me, but you can see, I'm looking at you, but I see the chandelier, I can see Elijah in the back, I'm looking at you, but I can even see Jackson over there in my peripheral vision. So we want you to understand, yeah, we can see it all, okay? So the point is this, your eyes are taking in lots of information at an non-conscious level. So our eyes take in 10 million bits of information per second. Your ears take in 100,000 bits per second. So you're listening to me, but you can actually hear the humming of this machine, yes? You can hear somebody, your neighbor, moving around, or some noises or something. So you're listening to me, but you can hear it. Here, your ears, your skin take in 1 million bits of information per second. Taste buds and the smell. All of this is happening at a non-conscious level, but here's the interesting part. At a conscious level, we only perceive a fraction of what's actually going on. This is important. This is from a book called The User Illusion by Tor Nordstranders. This is very important for you to understand in terms of how does photo reading work? How is this possible? So we spend a lot of time, or in the big seminars, teaching you about how the mind works so that the conscious, logical, linear mind will accept that, yes, it's very possible for me to do this. So here's one of the most significant slides. So look at this. 77 bits of information we only perceive at a conscious level. Because remember, the conscious mind's an information manager. At a non-conscious level, all of this is going on. So it's very possible, and you're doable, and you're going to do it here in a few minutes, to take information in and download it at a non-conscious level. And then when you need what you need, bring it forward, use it for your purpose, and get on with the business of living. Robert, you've got things to do, places to go, and people to see, right? You only need what you need when you need it, right? Even if you read that whole book, you don't need all that information on the top of your brain. You only need to access what you need to access to use it for your purpose and get on with the business of living, right? Okay, there you have it. So this is a very significant slide, and I really, really love that. This one here, you all know what this is. This is an iceberg. So here, this represents the conscious mind versus that deeper part of our mind. And let me hear you say, I'm deep. You are deep, okay? But you're not accessing your powers and your abilities because they didn't teach you that inside of traditional education. They teach us about subjects. They don't teach us about ourselves. This real course is really all about you and how your mind works. So at a non-conscious level, is where all the information is being processed. Conscious level, we're trying to get it all in, but that's not where learning occurs. So learning really starts here in this peripheral awareness, this threshold, which we call the alignment between conscious mind and non-conscious mind. This right here, we're in primary consciousness right now, right here. What's going on? What are we doing? What are we learning? Okay, primary consciousness. Then the pinnacle is reflective consciousness. That's where you know something and you know it. You can talk about it in your sleep. But learning does not start here. It actually starts here and at a deeper level. When you understand that and you're able to just embrace the system and just do the steps and trust it, you're going to see some remarkable results.
And that's why we want you to learn this process when you're practicing, so that when you go to write an essay or you take a multiple choice test, one is for you to let all of this down here guide the process. What most of you try to do is you try to strong arm it. Right. You try to, I'm going to figure it out. I'm tough. Oops. They beat me. But if you're down here, if you're letting this work, oh wow, then you see jumps of 30, 40, 50 points. So this chart is one of the most important to keep in mind. What we are doing in bar prep, most people think of as being up here. Historically, the big box bar reviews were all up here, weren't they? Memorize, recite, do more, do more, do more. We're down here, okay? Our emphasis is in here, because if you're using this on the exam, then you've got that resource that everybody else that's just doing traditional stuff is going, I don't know, I don't have that. I didn't study that. I wasn't prepared for that subject. Right? You see the difference?
Yes. Okay. So your preconscious processor, it perceives, it discriminates, and it responds to information super fast in milliseconds. So the database of the non-conscious mind outweighs the database of the conscious mind 10 billion to 1. So your unconscious mind is super powerful. Freud, he's the one who really started this whole thing about the non-conscious mind. And we're taught that the non-conscious mind is this like seething cauldron of like negative stuff and repressed memories. Hey, ridiculous. Your non-conscious mind is your friend. It is powerful. It belongs to you. We've got to get into rapport with it. Who here has ever driven a car? You've been driving somewhere and you just kind of spaced out, and all of a sudden you pulled up in your driveway and then you were like, oh my God, how did I get here? Has anyone had that experience? Your non-conscious mind. It knew the way home. It got you there. It's your friend. It takes care of you. You've got to get into relationship with that deeper part of yourself. That's all it is.
Well, that's our episode for today. I hope you enjoyed it. You could tell we were having a lot of fun there. It was a great session. That was the beginning of 2 days. We've got a lot more to share from boot camp with you, as I said. So watch for upcoming information about these special webinars. But the first of them is already available. It's the mind mapping webinar. You'll see the link here on the video page or in the show notes. I really encourage you to check that out. It's a great way to enhance any reading you do, not just photo reading. I also want to remind you that How to Make the Next Bar Exam Your Last Bar Exam, the free webinar, is coming up on Thursday night and Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. We invite you to join us for that. It is by registration only, so make sure that you click on the link and grab your spot there. I think you'll find it incredibly helpful. And really invite your questions and comments about photo reading. We know it's different and unusual, but we also know it works. And at the end of the day, that's what really matters. And so I hope that we've sparked your curiosity, gotten you to think a little bit, maybe thinking out of the box more than you had previously. And we'd love to continue that conversation with you. So don't hesitate to reach out to us and let us know how we can help you as you move forward along the extra mile. Well, that's it for this week, everybody. We'll see you again next week when we take a look at the next of our bar study tools. We'll dig deeper into mind mapping. Take care and have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers at www.celebrationbarreview.com.